Ever feel stuck in a never-ending loop of interviews just to find that perfect candidate? Can be exhausting, right? And if you're looking to really scale your team, it only gets tougher. You're dealing with thousands of applications. But what if I told you there's a way to make hiring a breeze? I've built an AI phone caller that conducts initial interviews on your behalf, shortlisting the best candidates, so you only hop on a call with the best of the best. This means you can bump up your job advertising spend, get thousands and thousands of applications, and only interview the best. Here's the demo.
Hey there. So, are you reaching out about one of our sales positions?
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. All right, before we dive in, could I grab your full name and email address, please?
Yeah, so my name is John Smith and my email is john@gmail.com.
Got it. So just to confirm, you're John Smith and your email is john@gmail.com, yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect, John. So here's the deal. This is the first phase of the interview process at Begrip. I'll be asking you a few questions to see if you'd be a good fit for the role. Is it cool if we go ahead with that?
Yeah, that's cool.
Can you share a bit about your previous sales experience and the types of products or services you've sold?
Yeah, so I've worked with several companies in the past, mainly dealing with software as a service. So we were selling softwares to medium-sized to large enterprises.
Nice. That sounds like it lines up well with what we do here. All right, moving on. What has been your most significant sales achievement to date, and how did you accomplish it?
That's easy. So in the past 2 months, I was working for this company, and we had this huge client in the pipeline, and I managed to close the deal. It was worth 100k USD, and it really brought a lot of profit to their business. And how I managed to close it is by getting to understand the customer's pain point and just positioning our software as a bridge from where they are at to where they want to be.
Wow, that's impressive, John. Closing a deal worth 100k USD is no small feat. So could you describe a challenging sales situation you faced and how you handled it?
Yes, so just the other day I was on a call with this client, and to be honest, they were quite qualified. They had the budget, they had the need, so that's a pain point, but they kept on insisting I give them time. So how I was able to address it is being able to agitate that pain point, to give them the cost of inaction, telling them how much they are losing per day of not having our solution in place, and it really helped push them forward in closing the deal.
Got it. Agitating the pain point can be a powerful move. All right, can you walk me through your sales process from start to finish?
Yeah, so I use the closer framework. I call it the closer framework. So I first clarify why the customer is on the call. I label them with a pain point. I overview their past experiences. I sell them the vacation or the dream. Then I explain away any objections, close the deal, then finally reinforce the purchasing decision.
Nice. The closer framework sounds solid. So how do you collaborate with other departments, like marketing, to achieve your sales goals?
Well, I think it's mainly a communication issue. So I feel like if the departments were aligned, we would have better results. So in practical sense, that means, for example, the marketing department, if I can know what message they're using to bring the lead into the pipeline and the ad copy they're using, and also them to know how a typical sales call happens, we're able to be aligned in the communication so that we don't have a situation where the marketing department is overselling the client to bring them in, making it hard for us as the sales agents to close the deal.
Got it. That makes sense. Communication is key. So finally, what motivates you to succeed in sales?
Well, I think I'm mainly a growth-oriented individual. So I'm mainly very motivated by seeing my close rates go up and up after every single sales call that I have with clients. This helps in really solidifying the skill that I have at SET.
That's awesome, John. It's great to hear that you're driven by growth and improvement. So that's all the questions I have for you today. Our team will review your responses and get back to you via email. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
You're welcome, John. Have a great day. Goodbye.
So as you can see, I have a database containing the job interviews. So you can see the record has just entered after the end of the call. So John Smith is the applicant. Their email is john@gmail.com. The interview transcript, so our team can go through to see how the actual interview went. Then we can see the interview score. So it's from a scale of 1 to 5. And you can see I got a 4. We could do better, but now you can picture the impact of having such a system within your business. Because the thing is, while scaling a team, to get that one perfect employee, that one killer employee, you need to reach out to thousands and thousands of them. And if you're the one who's hopping on interviews to be able to qualify these prospects and the likes, it can be quite tiring and very unscalable. But having such an AI phone caller in place to be a intermediate step that covers the interview process to qualify those thousands of prospects, then it gives you a short list of the applicants that did very well during the interview, so that you're hopping on the call with the best of the best. So you could be able to see in the database, it gives each interview a score. So it's based on 1 to 5. And what I can come to do is filter out and say I only want to see records. These are applicants that I've gotten between 3 and 5. Then discard the rest. This really shortlists the entire thousands of applications, ensuring that I'm only hopping on calls with the best of the best. So now the question you're asking is how you can get into building one yourself. Let me show you. So I'm building the voice bot over on a platform called Vapi. So if you're not familiar with Vapi, it's a very popular voice bot building platform out there. I mean, there are good alternatives out there, but in this case, this works very well. So if you don't have an account on Vapi, go ahead and search vapi.ai. So you can see this in the URL, vapi.ai. Create an account. It's as simple as you can sign up with your Google account, then log into your dashboard. Once you arrive, you'll arrive at something like this. If this is your first time, you won't have any assistants. So on your case, this side will be empty. So what you'll do is just click create assistant. Okay, give it a name, something like job interview voice bot 2. I already have one there. Click on blank template, then click create assistant. Then you'll arrive at something like this. So I'll take you through the system prompt. These are the instructions that guide the entire conversation with the customer. Not the customer, the applicant, the job applicant. First of all, it starts with the first message like, hey, welcome to Big Rip. Are you calling in regard to our sales positions? Then the user can continue saying yes and the like. So let's go through the system prompt. So before I start any system prompt, I normally start with a boiler template that guides the entire process. So let me just show you that. So you see this here. So I normally just come and Control A, Control C this and come and paste it within my system prompt. So you can see, start with the role. These are instructions on the role of the AI, the task at hand, specifics in regard to the task, some context. So this is context about the business and what we do. So this is like the services or the products we sell. Then we give you some examples. So this is like an actual script of a back and forth conversation between the AI and the user. Then we finalize with some notes. So once I test the voice bot, I notice some mistakes. I come here in the notes section to take the system prompt accordingly. And if I go back here, you can see that's the exact thing. So you can see the role there, the task at hand. Let's scroll. Some context about the business, some examples. And so this example is a script itself. Then some notes. Okay. So here's the role. You're an expert job interviewer for Big Rip. You're very experienced at handling job interviews with potential sales agents. Your role is to interview job applicants on a couple of questions to assess their expertise in sales for some sales job openings we have at our company. And the task. Once the caller confirms they are calling in regards to our sales positions, get to know their full names and their email address. You are then to inform that this is the first phase of the interview process, where you are meant to ask them a couple of questions to determine if they'd be the right fit. Ask for their permission to proceed with the questions. Once they approve, go ahead and ask the following questions one at a time. So in this task section is where if you have the tasks that you know that the AI needs to handle during the call, list them out one at a time. So after one task, skip a line, then put the next task, skip a line, put the next task. So here are the questions. I'll be honest, ChatGPT helped me over here. So I just went to ChatGPT and asked it, you're an expert sales manager with decades of experience working with sales teams. You're very well familiar with how a typical sales interview occurs, and I need your help with coming up with questions to use within my interview to be able to qualify and know the proficiency of the applicant in terms of sales. So something of the sort. You can come up with something, but it can help you a lot in regard to the questions. So you can see an example is, can you tell me about your previous sales experience? What has been your most significant sales achievements and the likes? So you can pause and read through that. But also this is dependent on the role itself. So if you're hiring for a developer, you'll have questions here that assess technical proficiency. If you're hiring for, let's say, a customer success agent, you need to ask the questions accordingly. So if you feel the user hasn't answered any of the questions well based on your sales manager expertise, follow up with another question to obtain more details from them. So this is what I was noticing. If I ask, let's say, can you tell me more about your previous, not that one, let's go with something like, what has been your most significant sales achievement to date and how did you accomplish it? So if the AI asked the job applicant this question and the applicant just said, I closed this $10,000 deal the other day, and they just stop at that, well, they haven't completed the question, because the question is, how did you accomplish it? So the AI should go ahead and follow up with another question. Kindly, Mr. Applicant, can you explain how you were able to accomplish closing that deal? Now, in regard to context, okay? So context about the business. This is our business, Big Grip. So we can just have it there. We are Big Grip, an AI automation agency that unlocks the next level of growth within companies through AI and automation services. We get to understand our clients' bottlenecks, pain points, repetitive processes, then implement AI and automation systems to free up their time, boost efficiency, and unlock more profits to their bottom line. We also have AI softwares that we sell to small to SMEs. This is meant to be SMEs or large enterprises. So let's have that in place. We sell to SMEs, can I really type, and large enterprises. So that's context in regard to the business. It's really good to have such in place, and also incorporating things like your values within this context of the business, any awards that you might have won, any high profile features that you've been put, whether it's in the national television or some articles out there. It's good to have them here so that the AI has context on how to handle the conversation appropriately. So even when the customer asks a specific question in regard to your business, it can use this context to give a relevant answer. Then we go into the examples. So I recommend having 2 examples. So that is 2 scripts of actual client conversations. In this case, I have 1, but don't go more than 2, because it can be very long, and this will make your AI usage costs higher, because the longer the prompt, the more AI usage costs you incur. So here's a script. You can pause and read through it, so I won't go through the entirety of it, but it's just like the demo that you are able to see. Hey, welcome to Big Grip. Are you calling in regard to our sales positions? The user is like, yeah, that's right. Then they go into asking the questions. The AI obtains the responses. Then we're able to proceed from there. So I'll just scroll. Then you can pause and read through the actual script. It's quite long because this is an interview and responses are quite long and detailed. So once it obtains all the responses, it finishes with, oh, that's nice to hear, Alex. Close rates are very important, and the fact you have this as your motivator is really promising. So Alex, our team will assess your responses and we will communicate the results via email. The user is like, thank you so much. The AI is like, have a lovely day, Alex. So here in the notes section, I had only 1 note. You can see it's just 1 paragraph, and I normally call it prompt seasoning. I paste it in whatever voice bot I normally build, in whatever system prompt it is. It enables the voice bot to have a more conversational, more human-like responses, such that the user doesn't outright tell that this is a robot or an AI it's talking to. Well, they could know, but it's good to know that the actual AI sounds like a human. So you can pause, you can copy the entirety of this paragraph and paste it in whatever voice bot you build, then come thank me later, because it actually does a really good job. When generating responses, aim for a casual and conversational tone. Think of how you might talk to a friend in a relaxed setting. Use informal language and common colloquial expressions such as so, yeah, and okay. Avoid formal language and corporate jargon. Instead, focus on making the dialogue flow naturally, using contractions like you're instead of you are, and inserting filler words occasionally to mimic natural speech patterns. Strive to make responses sound warm and approachable, using everyday vocabulary and sentence structures. Like literally, copy exactly that paragraph and paste in whatever voice bot you build paste it in there, then come thank me later. So once you have the system prompt in place, click publish, then we can continue here. So the AI model that is powering the AI voice bot is GPT-4o by OpenAI. I really like OpenAI. It's very popular because they actually have more powerful AI models. Well, you could say give or take because it's dependent on the actual use case. But for voice bots, GPT-4o is outright the best model for any AI voice bot you build. It has that balance between how fast it is and how powerful it is in regard to reasoning. Normally the thing is with lighter weight models, it can be faster. So like GPT-3.5 Turbo is faster but less clever, less smart. And GPT-4, so GPT-4 going on like GPT-4, GPT-01 and the likes, they are very powerful, so they are very smart but quite slow in regards to giving responses. So you'd have higher latency between the conversations, but GPT-4o has a nice balance between the latency and how smart it is. So in regard to the transcriber, just leave everything there at default. The voice model, leave it at default, or preferably go with a voice that's more geared to your accent. In this case, I just went with 11 Labs. I really like 11 Labs because they have the most human-like, most conversational voices. The tone is really nice. So for example, when talking about specific sentences, it will analyze the sentence and see, is this statement more of something that I need to show caring tone, or should I be excited when saying this statement? It sounds more human-like. So in regard to the functions in place, we don't have any function that's being handled during the call. I'll be honest, initially I had created a function to handle saving the details to our database. And if I click on this drop down, you can see save to DB tool that's in place. But the issue I was experiencing is what I want is to extract the responses from the user exactly as they are without any summarizing. But the thing is, when you have the tool in place, let me just show you the tools. So you can see here the save to DB tool. It has this webhook URL from make.com. Then the properties that it needs to extract from the call in order to save to the database are, we have the applicant's name. This is the applicant's full name, so you can see there, the applicant's email and the interview responses. And what description I gave is, this is one long paragraph containing the questions and the respective responses the applicant gave. But now the issue I saw is it would summarize the responses. But what I want is to get the responses that the user actually gave, so that we can feed this directly to the AI for the AI to analyze sales expertise and rank it between 1 to 5. But if you give summarized responses, the AI will have skewed data in regard to this person's sales expertise. There's a lot of details that could be lost when summarizing the responses. So what I resorted to is, at the end of the call, we have our make.com scenario. So we get a webhook URL from make.com. Then at the end of the call, the entire chat transcript is sent to make.com, so that we have an AI step that analyzes the entire chat transcript to be able to determine sales expertise. And I'll guide you through that, so don't worry. It sounds complex, but don't worry. So in regard to that, we have it in the advanced section. So advanced section is where you'll paste in your server URL. This is the URL that you will get from make.com. So if you haven't gotten the gist, is we are using make.com to save these details to our database and also be able to determine the score of the interview process. So for that, I'll provide the template to the entire make.com scenario. So let me just show you that. So here's the make.com scenario that works to generate a score for the interview process and save the interview details to our database. So on your side, you'll go to scenarios over here. Then you'll click on create a new scenario. Then what you want to do is come and click on these 3 dots over here, then import blueprint. You'll go to the link in the description right now, download the template for this make.com scenario. It's a .json file. Then click on these 3 dots, then click on import blueprint. Then you'll see choose file. Then you'll choose the JSON file. Then click save to import the blueprint. So now I'll go to the scenarios and explain through it. So the scenario starts with a trigger module. So it's an instant trigger. And what that means is the scenario immediately gets activated as soon as data comes in. So you click on the first module and click on add to add a webhook URL. So once you do that, just click on save, add. Then you'll click on save. Then you'll copy address to clipboard. And this is the webhook that you'll go and paste in within your VAPI dashboard. So I'll copy that. Come here to the advanced section. Scroll till you see messaging. Then you'll see server URL. Paste it in there. then ensure you click on publish. Then one thing I want to touch on is here on the server messages, click on this drop down, then ensure you've checked the end of call report as well as the transcript, because these are the two things that we need in order to save the details to our database and also assess the interview process. So back to make.com over here, you'll click on OK. Then we continue. So before proceeding into the next step, which is extracting the name and the email from the chat transcript, we have to go through this filter. So let me just click on the filter so that you can see. The filter label is if end of call report. And what this is it checks the data that is coming in from VAPI. Is it an end of call report? If not, do not proceed to the next step, because the reality is you need to understand how VAPI handles are working with these server events. So here at VAPI, once you paste in this server URL, every time that an interaction occurs between the customer and the AI, in this case the job applicant and the AI voice bot, which is VAPI, will send a request to your server URL. So it will be consistently sending requests, this is data, to your server URL consistently. But we don't want to action on all of those requests unless it is at the end of the call. So let me just go to the server events over here. So go to the VAPI documentation and you'll see something of the sort. So at server events, so you can just go to this specific URL as you see it there, and this will make sense. So you can see the various server events that will be sent to your server URL as the applicant interacts with the AI. So there's function calling. So if there's any function triggered during the call, it will send an event to your server URL, and the event will look something of the sort. So you can see here, once a function is triggered, the assistant will send a message to your server URL with the following body. So this is the event message that will be sent to your server URL. And you'll notice here is the type is function call. So that is the type of event. Another type of event that will be sent is call status updates. So when there's any status update in regard to the call, it will send the following event to your server URL, and the following status, it can be either in progress. If the call is being forwarded to a different number, it will say forwarding. If the call has already been forwarded, it will say forwarding phone number and the likes, even when the call ends. Then the one we critically want is the end of call report. So when the call actually ends, so the user clicks end call or something, or the AI actually ends the call on their side, it will send the following event, and you can see in the event type is end of call report. So this is what we're going to use within our filter to ensure we only proceed with the make.com scenario if this is at the end of the call. And in order for us to see this practically, because it sounds a bit complex, but let's do this practically so that it makes sense. So what I'll do is I'll come here, ensure that this is scheduled on, then I'll click on this back button. Then let's go and talk to the voice bot and see it sending the events concurrently as the conversation is continuing with the AI. So I'll come back here to my VAPI dashboard and click on talk with assistant. Then let's go back to make.com and see that in action.
Hey, welcome to BegRip. Are you calling in regard to our sales positions?
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. So before we dive in, could I grab your full name and email address, please?
Yeah, so my name is Alex and my email is alex@gmail.com.
Great, Alex. So just to confirm, your name is Alex and your email is alex@gmail.com, right? All right, so this is the first phase of the interview process here at BegRip. I'll ask you some questions to better assess if you'd be the right fit for the position. Is that okay with you?
So I'll end the call there, but you've noticed when the call was going on, you could notice that it was sending some events, and notice it has made an event right now that's been able to pass through the filter, because this is the end of call event, because I've just ended the call. And when you check the JSON data, it was able to see that the event type is end of call. So hope that makes sense. But just to solidify the concept in place, what I'll do is I'll turn off this scheduler, then I'll click on run once, so I'll force stop, then I'll click on run once, then go back to the voice bot and initiate the call. Then let's see what happens. So talk with assistant, then let's go back to make.com.
Grip, are you calling in regard to our sales positions?
So I'll end the call. Then let's go back and check out. So you can see one event was able to come, but it wasn't able to pass through the filter itself. So you can see filter here, 0, has this value of 0, meaning no bundle of data was able to pass through. So let's click on this bubble and see what VAPI was able to send us. So you can see it sent this event, and the event type is a transcript. Then the role is assistant, meaning this is the AI that uttered this statement, and the actual transcript it's partial, so it's not the entire transcript for the entire call. And the message is, hey, welcome. Okay, so during the call it will send massive amounts of these events. You noticed it was just sending them again and again as the job applicant continues conversing with the AI. But we don't want to action until it is at the end of the call and we have the entire chat transcript, and that's why we have to check that this event type is not transcript but is in fact end of call report. So let's enter the filter and see how it's structured. So you can see it checks if message type, so this we get from the first module, and notice if I hover on it, the first module starts to pulsate, meaning this data is coming from that module, and it checks if this message type equals this specific statement end of call report. If that's the case, means this is at the end of the call and we need to proceed to save the details. So first of all, we need to extract the name and the email. So entering into this module, we are using a chat GPT step. It's actually called create a chat completion. So on your side, ensure you connect to your OpenAI account. If you need help with that, just click on this online help, but all you need is just your organization ID and your API key. For that, you'll just go and search platform.openai.com. Then you'll arrive at something of the sort. Click on settings over here. Then go, first of all, you'll get your organization ID over here. Copy it, then go back to make.com. Click add. So you'll add a new OpenAI connection. Give it a name. It can be something like AI job or whatever. Then you'll paste in your organization ID in place. Then go and get your API key. So back here at the platform.openai, you want to click on API keys. Create a new secret key. Give it a name, whatever it is. Then select a project. I'll give it the default project. Then create secret key. It will pop up with your API key. Copy it and go and paste it within make.com. So over here, then you'll click on save. But since mine I'm already connected, we'll work with what we already have. The method is create a chat completion. The model we are working with is GPT-3.5 Turbo. We'd have gone with a more complex, a more sophisticated model, a larger model, but in this case, it's a simple task of just extracting the name and email, and you can work with the cheaper model, GPT-3.5 Turbo. Then on the role itself, so this is a system prompt that will guide the AI on the task. So your role is to extract the name and email of the user from the transcript you will be provided with. You are to return it in a JSON variable like so. Name, Alan Walt, email, Alan H. So this is an example of what it needs to return, just the JSON variable. So then we give it the actual transcript. So this next message is a user role, meaning that now this is the data we are giving the AI. This is the transcript that it needs to assess and extract the name and the email. So for that, you see, here's the transcript. Then we pass in the transcript. This will be found when you click on message, then click on transcript. Okay, then you'll click on OK. Then the next module is the most critical part. This is the one that will assess the responses by the job applicant to be able to determine their sales expertise from a scale of 1 to 5. So let me just click on it. So here we go. Your OpenAI connection will be by default already added. Then you create, just the same create a chat completion module. Then the model we are using, notice now we are using GPT-4. Why is this? Is because this is a more complex task of assessing their transcript and giving a score. If you go with the cheaper models like GPT-3.5, we'll get subpar results. It won't be as accurate. So it's good to go with the more powerful models, GPT-4. Even better if you can go with GPT-01. So let me just click and see if there's GPT-01. Yeah, it's there. Because GPT-01 is better at reasoning, okay? But it's way more expensive, but it's definitely worth it. So here in the system prompt, you can see, so this is a bit long, so, and also it's already provided if you're using the template I gave you. You're an expert sales manager with decades of experience working with sales teams. Your role is to assess the transcript of an interview between a potential sales agent and our interviewer to determine the score of the sales agent. The score you give them is based on your analysis of the sales agent responses to the question asked by the interviewer. you have to output a score between 1 to 5, with 1 being very unlikely the sales agent is an expert and 5 being they are an expert at sales. You therefore need to keenly assess the agent's responses and use your expertise and experience in sales management to determine their score. Your role in determining an accurate score for the interview is extremely critical to the success of our business, and we appreciate you thinking through this critically. So this here I use emotional prompting, where you can see I'm using words like, this is extremely critical, we appreciate you thinking through this critically, and study has shown that this actually enhances the results from the AI. Then here I say, I repeat, this is a matter of life and death. Only return a single digit from 1 to 5. Again, emotional prompting really works well. So when you test your AI systems and notice something is consistently being done wrongly or it's consistently making certain mistakes, using emotional prompting ensures it solidifies it so that it can correct itself. Then I'll click on OK. Then we proceed. So next we have a pass JSON module, and what this does is, notice here this first module of AI extracts the name and the email and outputs a JSON string containing the name and the email. But for us to be able to save it within our database, we need to be able to access the actual name and the email. But since it's in a string, we are not able to do that. So we need to convert it from a string into a JSON object that we can access its values. So for this, we use the pass JSON module. So I'll just enter into it. Then you'll just enter in the result from the AI model that extracts the name and email. So you can see it there. So that's the result there. Then click on OK. Then just to simulate how this module actually works, I'll just click on right click, then run this module only. Then I'll paste in some random, so let's go with this JSON string I already have at hand. It's a string, so we can't actually access its values. But once we put it in here, check what happens. So I'll click on OK. You see, so this is a string that comes in, and what is outputted is a bundle containing the name and the email, and now this we're able to insert within the Airtable database. So let's go to the Airtable record, the Airtable module I mean. So go ahead and connect to your Airtable account. So for this, let me go to my Airtable database. So you can see here, here's the actual Airtable database. I have the interviews table containing the applicant name, email, interview transcript, and the interview score. So to be able to access this, click on your profile, then click on build a hub. I'll just direct it into a new tab. Then you'll arrive at something like this. You'll click on personal access tokens, create a new token, give it a name, whatever it is you want, then add a scope. I prefer adding all these scopes that are here. So what is a scope? A scope is typically saying when someone is trying to access our API, which is Airtable API, they're only allowed to perform the following actions. They're only allowed to create a new record. They're only allowed to update an existing record, but maybe they're not allowed to delete a record. So giving these permissions ensures that you're not giving the access token permissions that it's not meant to be able to handle. So in this case, I normally prefer giving all the scopes so that later on, if I need to use the same access token to access the API and I need some certain functionalities, I can be confident that that access token already gives me that permissions. So I don't need to go back and create a completely new access token with those permissions. So add the scopes in place. I prefer adding all of them. Once you add all of this, click on add a base. Click on the database that you want to access. In this case, mine is BigRip AI job interviews. Then click on create a token. Copy this token. Click done. Then go back to make.com. Then click on add over here. The connection type is Airtable token or key. Then you'll paste in here your access token. Then click on save. But since mine have already connected, I'll click close. Then click on the base. You'll only have access to one database, and that's the one that you gave permissions to. Click on the table you want to add the record to. Then it will display the fields that it needs to add. So you'll have the applicant name, and notice when I click on this, I'm able to access the actual name that was passed from the JSON parser module. So you can see this is the module here. So let me just scroll this so that you can see that clearly. So notice here when I click on this and I hover over name, notice this specific module starts to pulsate, meaning that this name is coming from this JSON parser. If we didn't pass the JSON string that we extracted from the AI step, then in this case we would just have a string, something like this results. So let me just scroll down here and see extract name and email. You'll just have the results like this, but you didn't have the name and the email separated. for you to add the fields in accordingly. So we have the applicant email there, we add it in place. Interview transcript we get from the very first module, so you can put that in place. And the interview score we get that from the second AI step, which can be 2, 3, 4 or 5 or even 1. Then I'll click on OK. Then yeah, that's it. So that's how you're able to assess the chat transcript, not a chat, it's the actual transcript of the interview process, give it a score of that gauges the sales expertise. Then you're able to save the record into our Airtable database. And yeah, that's it. That's how you're able to build an AI phone caller to handle your interviews. This enables you to be able to bump up your job advertisements. So for example, you could do a job post on LinkedIn, but now how LinkedIn works is you're able to pay more to have your job advertisement reach more eyeballs. Therefore, you're able to get way more applications through the pipeline. So 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 applications. But since these are too many to be able to shortlist, we have the AI phone caller as an intermediate step to interview them initially, so that now we can shortlist them based on their responses. This would really help a company, especially if they're looking to really scale their team and really have the best of the best. Because the reality is, to get that one killer employee, you don't do 10 interviews. You do thousands of interviews, and AI helps you do that. So if you want to build such powerful AI systems for your business, whether it's AI phone callers for your business, AI chatbot, or automating any repetitive tasks or processes within your business, go ahead and click the link in the description to visit our website and book in a meeting with our team. Anyways, that's it from me. Till next time, stay survey. Peace.